What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the GoodeBaker Podcast. I'm Nick Baker. Across from me, Shane Good.
Heyo.
And we're here to talk to you about some video games. First things first, what have we been up to? What have we been playing this week, man?
So I've been playing some Teamfight Tactics, normal. Nothing's really changed there yet. They haven't actually implemented really any of the new characters that they're going to implement, which they will be doing soon. They do patches, I believe it's bi-weekly, or it's either weekly or bi-weekly, because League of Legends does patches bi-weekly. So, you have 2 weeks to figure out what's overpowered and abuse the shit out of it, and then you have to figure out what's overpowered in 3 days, and then you have 2 weeks to figure out what's...
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Yeah, it's pretty much... It keeps the game fun, though, because it's like relearning the game all over again. As long as the mechanics of the game are entertaining to you, each new patch is almost like a new game.
Yeah, I feel like games are really kind of going in that direction lately, is like trying to really change the fundamental meta of the game week by week or by week, you know?
Yeah, it definitely... for a game that's like half RNG based... and the amount of skill that it takes to play the game is there, but also like the understanding of how to kind of like play RNG based games, they're doing a very good job at just kind of keeping things different and fresh. Obviously there's always something that's overpowered, so like when you get it played against you, you're always like, fuck, why didn't they nerf this?
I know.
But, other than that, I'm playing Fortnite again.
Fortnite.
I actually, started it and played for, probably 4 hours yesterday. Got the first win, finally. It took, literally 4 hours for me to get my first win again. Fuck. Which was... rough.
I bet it's absolutely insane now. Some of the people that have just been playing from the start are just schooling people, I'm sure.
There's some pretty dirty people out there. Me and my buddy Luke, or Fetchy, for anybody who actually listens to the podcast but also play games with me, because they probably have played games with him. I mean, I think you've played games with him before.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, back when we were playing Fortnite.
Yeah. Probably one or two nights.
Yeah, but... We came in second probably 10 games out of the 25 we played.
Yeah, that's really the kicker there, is finally getting over that hump to win.
Every time we lost was to two people that both had 15 kills. That I didn't get trick shotted. I blocked the trick shot. But the dude obviously was able to kill me afterwards. Yeah. I was afraid I was going to be on a clip for a second there.
That would have been rough, man.
I could see it coming, so I was like
shit.
You could tell.
Top 10, I'm number 3. Fuck.
You can tell. But yeah, it was... Fortnite it'll be fun to get back into, just because it's a new kind of thing. I can't wait for them to get rid of those fucking brutes.
Yeah, man. The mechs seem like they're fucking up the joint.
They have to keep them till the missions are there, and then once the missions are done, the word is that they're going to get rid of them.
I wonder if they'll keep them in a separate mode, or maybe keep them in creative, or...
Well, not to get into it too much, but I think what they'll do is they'll volt it for a while and keep the pressure down on them, and then they'll pop them in and out of different game modes. And I mean, Fortnite does this. This is what Fortnite does. Every time they release a new season, they create something that's stupid overpowered, that's controversial, that makes everybody say they're going to quit the game, and makes everybody say that, they hate this, and, their idea is just any publicity is good publicity.
Epic's finally destroyed the game.
Yeah.
The fan base is rioting against them.
Yeah, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
So...
And, that's kind of, I feel like, where... Epic and Fortnite is in the grand scheme of things right now. They started the fire, and I guess they didn't really start the fire like PUBG and HTC.
Hang on, Hunger Games, Minecraft.
But PUBG was boom. And,
yeah, PUBG
Fortnite
overnight.
Was boom. So Fortnite's kind of in that place now where they're still on top, but they want to stay on top. So they got to be controversial in order to get that top headline.
For sure, and it's something we've seen before, and hopefully will change in the future.
So, you also said you were playing a little bit of Minecraft, getting back into that.
I am. Actually, we played for like 6 hours yesterday. Me, nice. Deborah, and my buddy Plague. We started a Stone Block server, and by that I mean I just created a server on my computer and started a Stone Block server, which is really fun to play with everybody, and it's a pretty good time. Deborah now has my old computer where I just got a new one, so she's finally able to play games with me and Plague and stuff like that. Did not think about the fact that we were both on Discord, and she's, I don't know, approximately like 10 feet away from me, and I'm 10 feet away from her, and echo is a very real issue.
Oh, man, yeah.
Gonna have to get a good mic.
Yeah, figure that out.
Yo.
But as for myself, just been kind of chipping away at Fire Emblem.
Yep.
I restarted just because I wanted to get off the normal mode. I went back to casual, so there's no permadeath.
Yo.
What a pain in the ass, dude.
Yeah, permadeath's pretty shit.
I had a few like really, really weak characters that just kept getting into the fray, and it really sucked. And I was like, oh, well, fuck, I don't want to continue and lose like a part of the story that I might have really enjoyed, or maybe these characters develop into some really cool characters down the line, and I don't want to miss out on that. So I think I'll go through again, playing it again in the hardcore difficulty or whatever they got. I think it was just normal, but whatever. Madden is coming in today, so I'm going to be playing that a little bit later and getting into that. I hear it's actually really, really good this year, so
that'd be
excited to try that out. But
it's football season already, baby.
Oh yeah, preseason starts tonight, man.
Yo.
Hell yeah. Eagles versus the Titans. I'll be watching that alongside some Madden gameplay. But
nice.
Let's get into the big topics of the week, because we do have one big one that I want to touch on later on. And I left that to the end because I think it's a little bit of a heavier one. I think everybody gets what I'm talking about now, but
oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so let's kick it off with a really, really happy one. The new Pokemon trailer came out yesterday, and they revealed a few new things. The new quote unquote Team Rocket is Team Yell.
Yeah,
they're like rabid fan base of the antagonist, or seems to be the antagonist. This goth chick, Marnie, and it's really funny because my mom's name's Marnie. So
that is kind of funny.
I've never heard that name anywhere else in my life, other than like that one book that I think she was named after. But moving on. Thanks for the laughs.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a few other things. They added a few new forms for some Pokemon. Showed your new rival, whose name is Bede, I guess. And
so they get these names, dude.
I swear to God, I think they just roll some dice with some letters on it and like mash that stuff up sometimes, and then they just come out with ones like Marnie, and you're like, okay, all right.
That's a name.
Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff. I think the Pokemon fan base is getting a little bit more soft on these new games because they were really hard on them before. Yeah. So they're like, oh, well, all right. So they are doing some cool things. Like the new Weezing form is like this cool. It has this cool like green smoke mustache and a top hat. It's pretty cool.
I think. I definitely with like that same level of like I feel like the less people put pressure on Nintendo to like you have to keep it original, the more they're just gonna come out with these like hilarious like wild character. I mean, like one of my favorites still to this day is Drifloon because of his backstory.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you that don't know Drifloon's backstory, he's a balloon that essentially like wanders around in parks trying to kidnap children by lifting them away, but he's not strong enough to do it. So he just gets held by children. That's the balloon.
he hates children.
Yeah.
Yet he's held by them all the time.
Yo.
Great.
Fantastic stuff from Nintendo though.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. Moving on though.
Yo.
Why don't you go ahead and let this one
all right,
because I think this is probably the most exciting one for both of us on this list.
So Apex Legends is getting a new solo mode for a limited time on the 13th of August, called the Iron Crown Collection event.
Yeah.
That's it's an weird name.
Odd name for it, yeah. But at least they're getting solos. I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I played solo anyways because I would just
but I'm
drop out of my team.
Now this is just like an actual mode that you can go in and just be one-on-one with a lot of other players, which is going to be great.
I like what they're doing, and they're finally doing it. But it kind of sucks just because I feel like if they did this from the start, I think they would have actually been further along now, player base wise. Mm-hmm. Just because I know that, like, I don't have 3 people that I regularly play games with. I have like one person that I play this game with, and one person that I play this game with, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So that 3 person, I feel like it took a hit to their player base due to the fact that you always had to play with a random person.
Yeah,
almost.
one rando. Yeah, I think they did just kind of skip over the fact that duos could have been a thing.
Duos would have been good too.
And they were like, you know what? Let's try solos. Hopefully this this becomes more permanent, and then they can kind of grow the player base from there and be like, all right, well, let's try duos now and see where it goes.
Clearly, it's a testing ground.
Yeah, which is really cool. I'm glad that they're finally working up the courage to actually put their foot into different game modes and kind of spread the game out a little bit and give it a little chance to breathe. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely think this will be something fun to look forward to, especially in like the streaming aspects, because I think it'll bring them a lot of new publicity, but it will also bring them a lot of old players that will come back, that there's all these different new changes and the new character, I forget her name, Winston.
Yes, yeah, Winston.
The new character Winston, and like just all those different things. So I think that it's a really smart move for them. But I mean, speaking of smart moves, you want this one? Because I gotta look at the... it's a little late, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is coming way late. But so EA, BioWare announced that Anthem is finally getting its Cataclysm event. I believe it's already out. But for those of you that don't know, the Cataclysm event is supposed to bring with it a lot of new content, including incursions, which are these big... story-based missions that kind of further deepen the lore of Anthem, if you're really into that. I tried Anthem. I bought it day one. I loved what they did with the mobility of everything. I thought that the suit design was really, really cool. There were great things that Anthem could have sprung itself on rather than kind of doing like the Destiny thing.
Yeah.
If it were more like a Mass Effect, like single player driven and more story focused, I think it would have done a little bit better in the eyes of fans. But when it came out, it was just so buggy and broken, and I guess they're still having the same problems now, even with this new patch with this Cataclysm event.
Wow.
So I don't know if they're ever really going to dig themselves out of this hole that they've gotten themselves into. I think it's just going to be a dead game.
I mean, is it Skate 4?
No, it's not Skate 4.
All right, so it's a dead game. All right.
Check out, man. But, yeah, for those of you that are actually still interested in BioWare, I think that their next iteration of Dragon Age is actually on the way, and I think that more than anything, fans should be excited for that and less hard on Anthem, just because we all know what it is. We all know how it came and how quickly they wanted to push it out. And, you know,
it shows.
EA is known to like get into the whole cash grabby thing.
Yep.
So this seems to be what they tried to do with this one. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great game, and it didn't really afford them much cash. So
I just wish they'd sell cool IPs. Like, so other companies could deal with them.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Skate, for instance.
I mean, yeah, well, if they sold Skate to, like, fucking anybody, I'm sure that they would make it.
Like Naughty Dog or something. Just like a story-driven Skate. Like,
you can...
post-apocalyptic.
You can play as any skateboard you see.
Jesus. Oh, yeah, sorry, that's Ubisoft now?
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, got a little off topic.
So, that's the short list of big topics that aren't heavy on the heart, but this one We all heard about the shootings in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio. Our hearts go out to the people that are involved with any of that. I myself was just in El Paso, so it's actually pretty shaking to know that I was so close to all that, but right before it happened, scary stuff, and I can only imagine how scared people were in that moment. But
for sure,
this also brings to light another problem that people that are heavily influenced by games and people like us that love games and love what we do as podcasters, and the problem being that when stuff like this happens, video games are almost immediately blamed for a portion of this gun violence that comes to fruition from all these horrible events. It doesn't help the fact that our president gets so immediately behind these quote-unquote facts and starts spouting off about one thing or another, and this thing leads to this, and he's like, oh, well, violence in video games is impairing the judgment of our youth, and this is why these things continue to happen. So my question to you is, what's your stance on it? What do you feel video games bring as far as violence to our community? Do you think that it's inherent? Like, do you think that violence is caused by video games, or is video games just kind of a reflection of our own tendencies? There's so many different ways to go about it, but just kind of off the cuff, give me your thoughts on this.
So just kind of like without really refining what I would think. I guess the first kind of like thought pattern with it is the idea that video games, in my opinion, they do have a tendency to make people numb to things, but not like I guess the best way to put it is like in the earlier 80s to 90s, they would use in the military, they would use simulations to teach tactics, and they would use it to kind of like they had a program that was meant to numb their not their armies, their forces. So like they would use video games to actually numb their kind of their men, and what that actually, like, the statistics of it showed that it didn't numb them at all, but it did teach them how to do different tactics. So like from a like, if you were trying to use video games to literally create, like, to drive the violence and numb people from violence, it's been proven by military that it doesn't work that well.
Right.
But it's really good at teaching tactics, because you can put yourself in situations that physically you would be in if you were in that kind of, like, in a literal war game, where you can do things that you would expect the other person to do, but they might expect you to do, and learning different tactics of how to maneuver different rooms is the difference between life and death for those guys out in in our battlefields fighting our wars. So from that aspect, I can see it. But what do you think about that?
So I think that the military does continue to use, like, AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality systems to train soldiers, and they know full well what the capabilities of that are, teaching tactics, learning the capabilities of a team in a teamwork setting. But I agree in the fact that I don't think video games desensitize us to the things that can happen in real life, because even the youngest of us realize what you see on a screen is on a screen. That there's a separation there. When you, like, I can take it back to the first time I ever shot a gun. First time I ever shot a gun, it was shocking to hear how loud the gun was. And you play a game, you're like, oh yeah, pop, 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 and you're just flying, and your guy's not wearing a headset or anything like that, like they would if they were on a shooting range or anything like that. it's scary, you know, to know that those weapons can have such a damning effect on somebody's life, you know, and anybody you point that at, you could just end them immediately. It's I think that fear, at least for me, that separates the real from the video game. The video game is something that you know is, when you turn it off, it's off. It may affect how you feel about, you know, World War One. Like in Battlefield 1, you're like, oh, well, these battles actually happened, not like this. People weren't, you know, driving tanks through buildings and like flying all over the place and crashing planes into the...
That guy just 360 snipes me.
Yeah, it's like, there's no way that guy... But video games can teach things which I assume that in certain ways you can gain a little bit of a desensitization to violent acts that you see on a screen.
Yeah.
But my point is, I don't think that video games are teaching us to be violent.
Yeah.
It can show you that there are violent things in the world and that violent things have happened, could happen, and will. But I don't think that it inherently tells you, pick up this weapon, go outside, play this game outside, where people are going to be affected by the things that you do.
Right.
Rather than, you know, staying at home, playing on a video game system and screaming F-bombs at the random people on your headset. I think it's just a completely different world.
Yo.
As far as any of that goes. And it's frustrating as somebody that does love the art of video games so much that we're the first to get thrown under the bus, you know?
For sure.
Media, like just news media, the stuff that they show on news media is inherently awful and violent sometimes, and the movies that we watch, the TV shows, you know, these things are almost thrown out the window when these conversations come to light. But as soon as somebody has the gall to go into a movie theater and shoot around and hurt innocent people, and it is linked back to, oh, well, this guy played Call of Duty once, so that must be it.
I mean, I definitely, like, I'm right there with you, and it kind of sucks because, like, I think the connection, just like the generalized connection of the video games is, I think people, when they think about things that are addictive, right, they don't think about movies, because nobody has the money to go out and be addicted to going to the movies.
Right.
Because it's too expensive. When you think about food, we all have to do it. The people that are addicted to food, like that is an addiction, but those people have kind of their own category. Like, you think about just addictions in general, and people bring video games as, like, this super high up addiction that is, like, if you're addicted to video games, like, you need help. Like, now.
Right. And I feel like that's the stigma that our modern society has been kind of putting on games. And I feel like ever since our country has become so divided, there is a stark black and white, where one side is completely anti-video games, and then this side is, you know, we want to save video games. We want to preserve the fun and love and creativity that video games bring to us every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I'm not without my faults. I get frustrated at video games so much that I throw my controller across the room. I get pissed. I'll scream. You know, it's things like that people cling on to, and they're like, oh, see, video games make you violent. But I think that happens in any kind of a situation. If you stub your toe on a workbench or something like that, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck this shit. Or you miss a catch playing football outside. You're like, fuck, damn it, I could have had that. It was just this close. You know, the frustration is a human feeling, and it's up to the person and their mental health, on how they decide to go about dealing with that. And I think that is really what we need to look at, rather than the root cause of these things being video games.
Yeah.
It could be just, maybe this kid needed to be talked to, or maybe that guy that shot up this place just didn't have the support system in place to work it out in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And he thought that he was doing something just and right by going here and killing these people. So I think there's a deeper issue, and people just want to band-aid it with video games are the answer to this question.
Yeah, I definitely feel that for sure. I mean, just to kind of, I know we're probably running pretty long on this one, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We didn't set up a timer, but I do feel like this topic's a little heavy for me. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there, and that I think, and it's kind of I hope it doesn't go this way, but I can see it definitely being a generational thing where me and you growing up in our generation was more of like mental health didn't really matter as much, but we were like right on that cusp of like where mental health mattered and where it didn't. And I can see a lot of the people in the generations kind of like a lot of the people that end up doing these different things are in the generation of right where mental health started to matter and where you just got made fun of for it. And a lot of those people, I'm sure, in high school, in middle school, even in college, some of them probably just got made fun of like super hard for having issues that like they felt like they couldn't control, and they didn't have the support system to help them control.
Right.
So like definitely that a deeper issue.
And that is one problem I think that a lot of people do kind of gloss over is people think that bullying in schools is gone.
Yeah.
I'd never hear about it anymore, and I think that it's still there. It's just different.
Exactly.
There's cyberbullying. There's just stuff that you can do so subtly, online that can crush somebody.
Yep.
And change them in such a way that they do commit these horrible acts. And I mean, we can go on and on and on about all the different, like, we're doing the thing that we shouldn't be doing and, like, throwing the blame elsewhere, whereas, like, I want to be a part of the solution to this. I want to be somebody that's not saying, hey, don't look at video games. Like, video games are video games. They're art. Whether or not you want to take art a certain way and perceive it as it causing some sort of mental jarring and causing you to do violent things, that's, I think, up to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, that individual needs to be looked at rather than everything around them, because everything around them, one thing could affect this person a certain way, and that same thing could affect somebody a completely different way. So it's really a big mess, and I think that America in general, with our crime rates at an all-time high, homicide rates at an all-time high, like no other country has it as crazy as we do with the gun violence. I think that video games are all over the world, and if all of this is happening here and nowhere else, there's got to be some sort of disconnect there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that video games are why we are being violent with weapons, and that's just the basic gist of what we're trying to get at here.
100%.
So, well, if you like that conversation, there's going to be plenty more for the next few weeks. Obviously, we're gonna try and land this plane as softly as we can. Any quick thoughts before we close this one?
No, I mean, I think the idea and the bullet points are pretty plain, pretty simple. Me and you's bullet point goal is that we don't want to put blame on other things, but this is something we love, this is something that we are part of, and we are gonna defend it with the real response of, if this is the same in every other country, and in our country we see higher violence, then maybe there is more to it, and maybe video games isn't the thing. Obviously, we're not trying to deflect the blame,
right?
Because everything has, everything hits somebody a specific way, but maybe there's more to it, and maybe in the future we can look into it a little deeper.
Right.
But
so anyway,
that's our bullet point.
Hearts and minds go out to the people that are affected by these shootings. It's a horrible thing to have to deal with for those families.
Yep.
Scary for the people that were even involved, and I hope that those people get the support and love that they so desperately need in these trying times. But until next time, I'm Nick Baker. This is Shane Good. We love you all. We love video games. Let's keep talking about them.
Yep.
Talk to you next time. Peace.
Peace.